Welcome back. So in the last video, we looked at how to set up the worksheet and the lab template for this particular lab. Let's move on to the next page. So we started out on the Start Here tab. Now we're going to go to the Phases tab. Notice there's a little bit of change here. Up at the top, it gives you some information on where you can read in the textbook about pure tones. And what we're going to do is add a second wave to this graph by changing wave 2 to 1, actually changing the amplitude of wave 2 to 1. So right down here is the information for wave 2. And what I'm going to change is the amplitude of this one. And I'm going to change that to 1. Notice that things changed a little bit. So what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to copy this. I'm going to take it into my Word file, and I'm going to get rid of this kind of example one that I did earlier, and I'm going to paste it. Remember, don't do Control V like I just did. You want to paste it by doing Paste as Picture. Okay, now I go back to my instructions, and it says, describe what happens to the wave sum. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go below it, and I'm going to type in P1 for this particular question. P1 because we're in the phases section, and I'm going to describe what happens to the wave sum. Now, as I do this, don't just say it got bigger. Look for details of how it happened and try to answer this question as though somebody who's looking at the lab report isn't also looking at the instructions. So I'm going to type something along the lines of, when I changed the wave amplitude for wave 2 from 0 to 1, and now since I've been thinking here, I don't remember exactly what happened. So I'm going to go back to my spreadsheet. I'm going to do Control. If you're on an Apple, you're going to use the Command key Z, and then Control Y shows me what happened back there. So I'm just toggling back and forth between do and undo. And notice that it got taller and it went from 1 to 2. So when that happened, the sum increased from an amplitude of 1 to an amplitude of 2. Okay, so you're just going to repeat this throughout the lab. You're going to read the instructions, change something down here, copy the graph over, and then answer any questions. So this is a little different than many other labs that we've done. In fact, normally we do the experimental data and the experimental analysis separate from one another. So for this lab, I'm going to change this to experimental data and analysis, because I'm going to do those both at the same time. Now, I will remember hopefully later on to go back and erase this information, but I'm going to answer each of my questions as I go through. Okay, and then I'm going to go to the next step, and it says change the phase of the wave 2 to 180. So I go down here and I look very carefully. Wave 2, I look at the phase. I'm going to change that to 180. And suddenly the wave disappeared. Now notice there is a trace that is little red dots, and there's also a trace that's these yellow orangish type of dashes. Notice these guys are out of step with each other. In fact, they're exactly 180 degrees out of phase, so it shouldn't be surprising that they cancel each other out. That's the type of thing you're going to look for throughout the rest of this lab. Okay? So you can go through here. It doesn't ask every single time to do a copy and I'm doing right clicks to do this, and paste. And it's okay if you get some blank space in here. You can put these guys in. You can answer any questions that happens. And there's no problem with putting extra graphs in as you go. But definitely the things that it asks for here, make sure you get them over into your lab report. Now, I do realize that not everybody has a high resolution screen. You might have to jump back and forth between these two on different tabs or different windows. So you go back and forth. Make it as easy as possible for you to see everything on the screen. Make sure to read all the questions. Make sure to put all the answers in here. And again, this information that's just kind of telling you what to do in the lab, make sure you get rid of that. And then you'll work your way through. You'll do each of the questions, then you'll move on to the next tab. Hopefully that's enough information to get you started. Good luck. If you do have any questions, just as a reminder, back in the in Blackboard, you can always go to discussions, and you can go into the proper chapter. This is, let's see, chapter 8. You can go in here and create a new thread. Okay, and you can type your question here, and either I, myself, or somebody else will come in and answer that question. Okay, good luck.